Welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation, along with
CJ Lou from Fire It Up with CJ show. Woo!
if you've ever wanted a more energized new year, then do we have the What's Under the Carpet Fix Those Holes show for you. Today we'll talk about looking at what's hidden, what's been avoided, and what we haven't wanted to deal with, and how to looking at it can change our lives. That plus we'll talk about hiring geeks, hand-holding, being humbled on the snow, looking under every crack and crevice, energetic sponges, sensitivity ramping up, work ramp, sacrifice overload, bad dreams and staying seatbelted, YouTube magic, ripping polos, and what in the world super knitting has to do with anything. So welcome back to the show, CJ. Are you ready to
I
shine?
am ready to shine.
Woohoo!
Okay, so super knitting some new energetic technique from an Eastern modality. What the
I
heck
guess
is
we
it?
could call it that. It's Jessica gone wild because 2020 we want to call in baby. And so she's been knitting baby blankets, she's been sewing baby blankets,
Oh,
she's been doing
wow.
everything baby blanket related
Oh,
she can
sweet.
to
Cool.
energetically call in baby.
Mm. Hannah.
Hana.
Hannah. Excuse me. That's exciting. Wow. Okay. And what about the other thing that caught my attention is ripping polos?
I realized that the bird feeders were out just minutes before meeting with you. And so I scooped up some bird seed to take it outside because we are constantly surrounded by two-leggers and four-leggers. And I opened the door too quickly and I scared a deer. And the deer started to bolt to Mama. Mama looked at me. We've met before. And so Mama's like, it's okay to the little one. It's okay. And so I rounded the corner very carefully so I didn't startle her, catching my shirt on the side of our stove thingy outside and ripping my shirt, which is now going to get replaced.
Merry Christmas or Happy Hanukkah. Is the shirt that you have on the one that got ripped?
It is. You can't see it from here. If I turn there, you can start to see the moth holes that look on the side there. What can you do? So
Wow.
I was doing everything I could not to scare the deer. I was being very present with the deer, but not so present with my deer shirt.
Did you curse or are you just like after, because like usually if I rip something, I'm like, ah, like some little expletive comes out of my mouth. So did you scare the deer that way, or were you just like
Oh, no, no.
peacefully like,
Stayed zen, stayed stealth, came
nice?
inside. And I did ask Jessica, how much do you think that cost us for me to go out there and feed the birds? She said, what do you mean? We have new bird seed.
Is that a brand new shirt?
No,
Because you
it's
said it has
it's fine.
moth holes, so.
No, no, I'm joking that it's moth holes.
Oh.
It's call them deer holes now. But it
Oh.
was dear me who did it. No, but apparently I needed to make a donation to a nice clothing manufacturer. So it is what it is. But it was just interesting that that happened right before the show. So I did have to throw that in there. How that fits with looking what's been hidden or being avoided, I'm not exactly sure. Could I have moved more slowly? Yes, but it was really, I didn't want to startle the deer, which took me closer to the house. I'm not sure, but I will round the bend wider for
Mm,
future sojourns.
You know what's funny? It seems like the message I've been getting this whole week about what's hidden, what's hidden, what do I need to know? Um, the general guidance has been you're not going to know and stop trying to make sense out of everything. That's just been,
That's interesting.
yeah,
I'm getting the reverse.
yeah,
Here's what I've been getting. So I had Dr. Michael Lennox on the show earlier this week talking
yes,
about astrology for the new year.
yes.
And he was talking about Saturn, the great teacher, coming around, which is going to point out to us what gets to be changed, what gets to be worked on. Pluto, which is the planet that represents death, which represents tearing things down to make way for the new. And Jupiter, which is the largest planet, two and a half times, well, take all planets together, times it by two and a half, and you have the mass of Jupiter.
Mm,
And Jupiter is an amplifier. All of this meaning that that which we haven't taken out from underneath the carpet in 2019, particularly ramping up to the beginning of 2020, is going to appear before us. So political,
2019 going into 2020, you're saying. Okay, so it's
yes,
already started because
it's already
yeah,
started.
okay.
So political things, what's going on around the world, what's going on in impeachment, doesn't matter which side you're on, things that have been kept down are coming up.
Hmm.
And if we don't find what's underneath our own carpets, things that we haven't dealt with, they may come up as well. And so I've been doing a homework assignment, one of several with my coaching clients, of having them look at and being completely honest with themselves and journaling about what are the things that you haven't dared share with yourself,
Mm.
and asking, well, I haven't wanted to deal with that emotion. I haven't wanted to deal with that. Of course, I can have them go to automatic writing, another shameless plug for automaticwriting.com, our
Yes.
all-time favorite tool. But
Great
go into,
Christmas gift. Great Christmas
yes,
gift.
have them go into a meditative state and write and say, what have I not been dealing with?
Mm.
Oftentimes we know what are our habits, what are the things that we've said, no, I don't want to talk about that.
Mm.
We get to address that or it's going to come up. And it's much easier when it comes up on our terms than when universe brings it to us, typically with a 2x4.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's very interesting, isn't it? Because I'm getting exactly the opposite message, but then why? Who knows? Maybe that's the message that I need to hear,
Absolutely.
and you need to hear a different message. So interesting. So you had your shirt got ripped,
Yep.
and have you concluded what has been avoided or what was hidden aside from?
Well, there are lots of things. Going back to a dear friend and marketer for a mindful running program 7 years ago now, is my guess.
Hmm.
We've been concerned about working with a consultant or an outside person to help us look at our website and our pipelines and all of these pieces. We were kind of exceptionally gun shy, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've hired, I believe, 4 new people this
Wow.
fall for getting our only way out is to go in, it appears,
Is
to
that
get
what
me
the
out of,
work ramp is? Like all of the things that. Oh no, that's
yeah,
my work ramp.
that's your work ramp. You're
Oh, that's
unparalleled
YouTube
here, but
magic. That's YouTube magic. Is that YouTube magic?
it is. Well, that's a part of it. So I said a month ago was my busiest week ever, my most hours in ever.
Hmm.
3 weeks ago was my new busiest week ever. 2 weeks ago was my new busiest week ever. This week is my new busiest week ever as I'm having to go in to come out.
Mm.
I'm having to dive in and put the systems in place. So we hired people who are really geeking out on these things and finding the holes. And before, one of the things we were was too, we can call it energetically sensitive, or we can say our egos were too worried about what people would say and not feeling we'd have the bandwidth to deal with it,
Mm-hmm.
to get the help on board.
Mm.
Now, Jessica's been having, I don't know if fun's the right word,
Mm.
but with an outside consultant, she's been checking off the boxes. You want me to take care of this hole? Done. This hole done. This hole done. It's the hand holding,
Oh, so
but we're
Jessica's handing off. She's like handing off her stuff to other people.
absolutely,
Oh,
we're
nice.
looking at what all of the pieces are that we've been unwilling to deal with. Our
Mm.
website needs to work. Oh, we'll get to that later. YouTube needs some work. We'll get to that later. All of the we'll get to that laters we're dealing with now.
Yeah. Wow.
And then we're looking at the assumptions. This goes back to last week when we were talking about disrupt yourself. And I've been giving others and ourselves a 3 column assignment.
Mm-hmm.
Column A, you write down the assumptions. Assumption number 1 could be we're doing the best job we can with our business.
Mm-hmm.
Column number 2 would be, are you absolutely sure? And of course, I have to say, no, I'm not absolutely sure.
Mm-hmm.
Column C is, what action can I take?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's hiring a consultant. Maybe that's continuing this exercise and looking at all pieces of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been looking at our assumptions of what we've hidden under the carpet in every area of our life. Is my exercise routine, is that good, or does that get to be changed?
Mm-hmm.
Are our videos what we really wanted them to be?
Mm-hmm.
No, I had this vision of it being an experience, of it being a roller coaster ride from people, of people being riveted on the edge of their seat. And I haven't been able to build that to now.
Mm-hmm.
Does it have to be that way? No, you just watched a video that we made that hopefully was a little bit more
Yeah, it was
riveting.
amazing. It was great. It looked like an advertisement.
So that's the level. Well, advertisements keep you on the edge of your seat.
Yes, they do.
So we're challenging each area and we're challenging our coaching clients to accept nothing take nothing on face value that it is as it is. In fact, I would say for 2019 going into 2020, the most dangerous expression is it is as it is.
Mm.
Instead, let's look, let's challenge, let's rebuild.
Mm. Wow. Okay, so you've been hiring geeks. What's the
Yeah,
hand-holding part of it?
that is getting people on team members on board
Oh,
who we feel
onboarding them.
like supported so that we can dive in and go. It's shadow work is what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's saying, what have I not want to deal with either on an emotional level or a business level or a
Mm-hmm.
home level?
Mm-hmm.
And instead of avoiding the shadow, how can I illuminate it? And in our case, having team members on board to help us illuminate it is giving us the courage to go into the darkness. It's sort of
Mm.
like, well, it's not sort of like, it's having a coach or multiple coaches, a coach for our video based business, a coach for our marketing side of things, or getting out our word, a coach for social media,
Right.
and getting that hand holding
Right.
so we can actually do it.
Yeah. Interesting. Wow. So big changes. Big changes, but then it's like it's interesting because in the case of the baby blanket, right? It's something like you're manifesting dreams that you already had and what were they were I don't know if they were concealed. Would you say that they were concealed or hidden with obstacles uh, and that those are the things that you're now unmasking? Because it sounds like you wanted to do the videos in this particular way for a while. And then it was like you had this perhaps concern about hiring all these consultants. You've dug into that concern. You're taking the courageous move of going and basically hiring consultants. And then now you're executing it and moving closer to your dreams. Is that how you would describe it? I mean, that's what it sounds like to me, but maybe
Well, I
because
would say, oh, go ahead.
yeah, because this hiding under the carpet seems scary to me. It seems like it's like a monster under a carpet. But I
Well,
guess
it
the
could be.
shadow work is just like being afraid of consultants. Is that the shadow work?
Well, we were the roadblock. We were saying it is as it is. So I write down in my automatic writing each day that we're a million person show plus,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll cross the 100,000 mark alone on YouTube in the next few weeks. Well,
Yay.
could be a month, month and a half at this point at current rate of growth.
Yeah.
And so, but my belief at some point was it is as it is. We're going as fast as we can for the income that we have, for the staff that we have. And I could list all to you a litany of reasons
Right.
why it is as it is. And
Right.
this is the pace the universe wants you to come along at.
Mm-hmm.
I was unwilling to challenge that assumption. For one thing, we've been a debt free business. We only want to put out as much as we bring in.
Right.
And that has been very important to us as we pay back debt from what got us in the hole a long time ago.
Right.
Right now, actually, we're putting out more than we're putting in. Although, please, everybody come to patreon.com, patreon.com/Inspire Nation and help support the show
Right.
because could use your support. However, we are saying, all right, we've got to get through this. So one of our things is we're afraid of debt, but there's a time and a place for everything. And we already know it'd be very easy to hit our own ROI numbers, to
Right.
make back more than we put out. So we get to face that demon and
Mm.
say there's a time and a place for everything. We get to face the demon of Michael says, Michael's too taxed. There's no time. I don't have the bandwidth or the resources. It's a
Mm.
choice and a decision. Am I complaining about this last month of working more and working more? No, I laugh into it, going, oh my God, I can't believe this. And I step forward.
Mm.
And so each piece has been a challenging what I believe is my belief
Mm-hmm.
and then saying maybe that doesn't have to be this way. Now, we have thought this. Oh, a key point. One of the people we're bringing on board is helping us upload our shows. And
Yay.
had an uploader on the show. And before that, Jessica was doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because Jessica, I have said for a couple of years, and we haven't taken action on it, I have said, I need to think of the show of what would happen if you were sick and couldn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, that's awful. Don't say that.
Right.
And I go, I don't mean that. And she goes, well, what do you mean? Well, if something happened and you weren't able to work. She's like, don't say that. And I'm like, all right. But I have to play the mental game of if it was all in my hands.
Mm-hmm.
And this summer, she finally got the message and started pulling back and said, you deal with it, Michael. And pulling back and saying, you deal with it. And I will deal with it. I will find somebody else
Mm-hmm.
to take care of it. We got one uploader on board after we interviewed a bunch of people. I was like, you're almost 100,000 people. Do you know how great of a show you are? Do you know how great you're doing? Ego pat, ego
Yeah.
pat. Yeah, we're good. And but we didn't actually go anywhere. We didn't really progress. In fact, it didn't feel right. I'm looking for geeks who really know the game, know the alchemy, know the numbers. And there's a formula for everything. There's a formula for horse racing. There's a formula for blackjack. There's got to be a formula for growing. Heck, the Russians figured out the formulas for Twitter. There
Right.
has to be a formula for
Right.
YouTube.
Yeah.
And so finally, I said, well, if I have to, maybe I'll even do the work myself, but this isn't working out. I need to find somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
We started interviewing other people. And I met this one gentleman who he wasn't apologetic about it. He wasn't saying anything egoic. He said, you're almost 100,000 people in 4.5 years. He goes, you must be doing something wrong.
Wow.
He's the guy we went with. Why? Not because he was picking on us, but because he showed us, I've got this show at 8 million. I've got this show at 10 million. I've got this show that was 100,000 and 6 months later was 1 million. I've got this show that was 180,000 and 2 million in a year.
Wow.
And he was saying, there are some fundamental things you haven't been doing right. And so 100,000 is actually way low. But because I was saying it is as it is, it'll come along when it does. And I was chuckling and laughing and going, I don't know how much longer I have to keep working this hard, but it'll eventually change. No, it was me that had to change and say, if not now, then when? We want baby. She's got to get out of the business. If not now, then when? My back is killing me. I can't keep working this hard.
Right.
If not now. And finally, I'm like, all right, I get it. It's now.
Right.
What are the pieces that I thought are as they are? Well, I'm tied to a 5-day-a-week show on iTunes. Guess what? We're going 3 days a week for the new year. People are still going to love it. We've got almost 1,300 episodes. If you don't find enough shows in the week, you can find enough shows. And I'm putting my efforts elsewhere. Well, what about if your numbers go down on iTunes? Well, if I have 1 million people on YouTube, the numbers are more than going to rebound on iTunes.
Right.
I'm challenging every belief. It's uncomfortable. The best description I got in automatic writing 2 days ago was, I'm going on a river rafting trip. And it's my first time going down a river in a giant inflatable raft. When I get there to the parking lot, I'm going to forget things. I'm going to be unsure what to bring. It's going to be somewhat chaotic. It's going to be uncomfortable dragging the raft to the water. Things are probably going to fall out of the raft getting to the water. But then out of all this chaos, once you get in the river, and they weren't talking about whitewater, thankfully, once you get in the river, you will get in flow. And so to allow all of the messiness, the discomfort, the chaos, the, oh my God, I go to sleep so many nights right now going, I was better off before I started today. I have even more to do now. But then I'm doing like lately a meal QA. Day by day in every way, I am getting better and better. Day by day and I'm programming my subconscious so that it doesn't freak out when I sleep.
Yeah.
And I'm waking up with more confidence going, this is exciting. Check out this new video that was just made. Check out this new thing that was just done. Look at what we're doing over here. So out of the messiness, the fear, the concern, the complete and total chaos and disorder, because when you pull back the carpet and you see like the bed bugs and the dust and the mites and whatever under there, something special's coming out of it.
Yeah. Interesting. Wow. Okay. Well, you've been doing this for the last 6 months. Pretty much,
since
right?
Since the back started getting me this summer, I said, universe is telling me to change. I didn't know how much that meant. Now, last year, we spoke at the end of the year, and I had a goal that I'm not going to quite hit, but I actually, surprising myself in the last couple of weeks, I'll come close to it with a little asterisk mark, but I'll take the asterisk, which is I said I want to be down to a 4-day work week, meaning if I work beyond the 4th day, that's up to me.
Right.
With this whole team on board at some point early in 2020, I won't not work on the 5th day, but I'm going to go on other people's shows and be interviewed by them rather than be on my own show, which is a lot easier.
Yeah. Interesting. I don't know where I fit within this theme, but I do think that there
Let's go
is
to your
yeah.
ankle.
Well, my ankle is getting stronger. I have been doing biking, recumbent biking as a way to kind of get aerobics. I'm doing that for 30 minutes. I can't get my heart rate above 107, but it's better than like six, whatever my heart rate probably is resting is like 58. So I figure it's like better than not. And I started lifting weights again this week, so that's actually been
Cool.
great. So I'm going to go see my acupuncturist. I've been seeing my acupuncturist twice a week, so hopefully I am getting better. They basically the first session during the week is just a relaxing to like relax the system, and then the one on Friday that I have, this is my fourth one. He just sits there and cranks up the little dial on the electrocution piece and just like vibrates my ankle.
I get it. We've got one on our couch, a new one, in fact, that we get to use. So to
With
zap yourself and get
acupuncture?
your muscles strong.
Yeah.
So you're doing it on acupressure points. We're doing it specifically like acupuncture. I think I spoke with you about it maybe 6 months ago to work on different scar tissue and
Yes, you did tell me
reestablishing the
about that. So
chi
it's like a
between the
vibration,
different
like it's a
points.
vibration that sits there and vibrates it. Yeah. Same idea is that the vibration actually amplifies the healing work that the energy has by just kind of vibrating it at a quicker pace. So yes, I've been doing that. I have been having like the worst nightmares ever. Like it's interesting because my work has ramped up. I basically thought I'm not going to do anything between when I got back from Camino to when I then go to India and then come back and not really do anything. Well, I did get a job that I've been working with, and it's interesting because um, my energy is kind of like, wow, I've just been working really, really hard over the last 4 days, just you know, talking to people, maybe coaching them for like 2.5 hours, which, as you know, is really, you're holding the energy, and that person's doing work too. So I've been doing like consecutive coaching sessions and conversations and crafting things and putting together Word documents for like the last week. And so I'm a little bit burnt out, but but good. It's actually the kind of work that I love doing, which is helping people understand each other and kind of mediate, helping people understand each other and facilitate. So it's really great. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and I said it's really hard because you go into these phases of like my spiritual practice is like spot on. It's doing really great. And then you kind of lose it because you're actually, it's like when you come back from any retreat, you kind of have to integrate back into your life.
Mhm.
And it was interesting because he said, I think that that's just really not a helpful way of thinking about it at all. It's like you never really lose anything. It's just that parts of you are integrating, and at one point they're going to intersect. But like, there's a part of you that's like integrating this spiritual part, let's say, or some aspect that comes in retreat, and it's integrating with your day in, day out stuff. And to presume that nothing is happening is kind of an erroneous thought and not helpful thought. In fact, thinking that is kind of like making it take longer for the energy to just like reintegrate and figure itself out. Just like my ankle, right? Like just like hoping and like if I kept on icing and moving around and like fussing in and looking at it and doing all this stuff, it probably would probably
See,
aggravate the situation. But if I just like let it be, assume healing is happening, I can't see that the healing is happening until I get electrocuted at once a week. But
that
just
is
assume.
that is that thing though, like the broken ankle. If we go back to last week, there was a part of you that wasn't hearing the message anymore.
Hmm.
The message was numbed out,
Yeah, it was.
and
That's
so
what
you
happened. Yeah.
that to me is something that was hidden under the carpet. It
Yes.
was
Okay.
blocked. It was blocked in clear view, but it is something that had to come up. And while you're being told you don't need to focus on it, it was a teacher. We don't know necessarily what the message is
Hmm.
yet,
Hmm.
but it will come up. Your ankle is your greatest teacher at the moment.
Yeah, it
Your
is.
nightmares are actually something coming up too.
Yeah, no, I feel like I mean, the part that feels related, how I can relate to the what's under the carpet is that I know that you can have meditations, and the Buddhists believe that you can control your dreams. And so you could actually, say in loving kindness and put yourself in a mindset so you don't have nightmares. However, I so far have not been able to master that, nor have I done the meditation, so I don't really know if I can master it.
Me
But
either, CJ.
but one of the things, I've had just nightmare after nightmare over this last week. And what's interesting is that, the Buddhists, this from this book that I'm reading, they're saying that, those nightmares are just negative karma that's getting processed. And it's not like I don't have anything negative that's coming in during my day, but I'm sure I have negative karma that's been built up over a series of lives, lifetimes, whatever, and they're kind of arising in my dreams. And I've been kind of going back and forth in terms of like, okay, just let it be. I think we were talking about this last week. Let it be, and then kind of analyzing it sometimes when it's like really shakes me. But I've just been allowing them to come up. I'm like, well, more negative karma, like coming up. And it's hard because I have to literally, what I do is I get up in the morning and I do this alternate breathing, which is a yogic pranayamic breath where you block one nostril and you breathe in one, and then you block the other, and then you breathe out. And basically, what it does is it balances the right and left hemisphere of your brain. And I imagine breathing in, light, love, power, wisdom, and then breathing out like red color coming out, and like breathing out any karma associated with fear and, or sorry, anger and hatred. And then I breathe in, on this nose, I'm breathing in power, wisdom, love from whomever you believe is out there. And then on my right nostril, I breathe out, I imagine a yellow color coming out, and breathing out any karma associated with fear and attachment. So I do that 3 sides each time. And I take 3 deep breaths, and I breathe in love, wisdom, compassion, then exhale, and I exhale any confusion or ignorance that I may have in my life. And so that's the only thing I do. That's the only thing I do with those dreams. I'm not gonna, unless it's truly shakes me. And one of the things that this friend of mine and I were just talking, he said, what happens is as you develop, if you further and further cultivate your energy, cultivate your
Yeah,
meditation practice, what happens is your sensitivity becomes greater. And so
makes sense.
it's kind of a weird thing where you're more sensitive. And so it's harder for you to do things that you normally did. So he had talked about a friend of his who is at Stanford
Mhm.
grad school in engineering or something, I can, or philosophy, I don't know, some Stanford grad school. And he's so sensitive that he can like literally hear, he can channel voices, he can think about his professor and what he's thinking. He's hearing noises, like
Wow.
he's just that sensitive that he has to wear headphones to dinner because he's just so open, that he's just so open and sensitive. And so I thought, wow, did I want this? I don't know. I'm not sure I really wanted this. Um, but what's interesting is that I'm realizing, because what's happening is I'm going to meditation retreats,
Mhm.
and at the Sangha, so there are people breathing in and opening, and like you're becoming one with everyone. But if you're very sensitive, you're picking up everything that's in the field. So if there are a large number of people who are very sad or very angry or very whatever, you're going to pick it up,
Yeah.
and and then you own it. And the weird thing is that um, my natural reaction is like, this isn't even my stuff. Like I can't even consciously figure out why I'm
Hmm.
angry, because there's nothing in my consciousness that's making me angry. And so I've been asking around, like, what do you do? So I asked the Buddhist on Monday, and he said, you just don't think about it as other people's stuff. Like you just see that it's there and let it pass. And then I talked to this friend of mine just recently, and he said, when you're so sensitive that you pick up other people's stuff, then it is now your stuff. It is your stuff. It may not
Yes.
be the content is your stuff, but you're selected now to
CJ, the
deal with
number
it.
of days that I've gotten up and I've told Jessica, I'm angry. I'm really, really angry. And she's like, what are you angry about? I'm like, nothing, but I can feel it. And that's plugging in.
It is,
And so I have to treat it as if it's mine. What will I do with that anger? What will I do to clear it?
right.
It's an emotional response that didn't start with me, but I've got it now. And so do I sweep it under the carpet? Do I do something with it? Do I transmute it? Do I just observe it? So many different choices in the buffet of spirituality, but I will own it. I won't
Yeah.
say, no, at this point, it's here.
Right. Whether you
It's,
wanted to own it or not is another thing. Like, yeah, I don't want to own it, but like if you're sensitive, you pick it up, it's now yours. It's like getting a cold, right? Like I don't want to
yeah,
catch a cold,
exactly.
but I'm walking around and like I got a cold. So now it's for me to deal with. But what's interesting is it's you think, well, I and what the Buddhists did in this book is they talk about getting picking up other people's stuff. And that now it's like, oh, what a wonderful joy. Now you can actually help other people and yourself potentially clear this stuff by just tuning into it. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing a solid. Like this, this is my my Bodhicitta or Bodhicitta. I don't even know how to pronounce it, but it's their Bodhisattva work where like, okay, I am doing my work, which is to take stuff that's not even mine sometimes and moving energy around and allowing it to pass because somehow it's in the field and me even taking right now there's so much doubt, confusion, anger, sadness in the world right now because of maybe the things that Michael Lennox was talking about. It's like, well, my part, I guess, is to pick it up. Not that I want to pick it up, but it's like not, I can't, I have to accept that what is, right? I'm becoming more sensitive. And so pick it up. It's not mine. It's okay. I'm doing therapy work on the world, just noticing it, sending light and love to it. So it's kind of interesting. It's a very different way of thinking about life, I think.
Well, it's interesting because even without the label, when we do the work on ourselves, we are helping the whole world.
Hmm.
As our frequency goes up, as our light shines more, no matter what school you want to call it,
Right,
as we're doing the work on ourselves, it affects and infects everyone around us.
right.
So you're being given a little bit more to work on,
Yes,
which is going to affect and infect the entire world around us. And
yes,
really, that is the answer. While stepping forward in all these other areas is important, meaning doing some external stuff. Really, we shift the world at its greatest level, but what we take care of in here.
yeah.
And so, as the expression goes, won't give you more than you can handle. Apparently, you've been given the upgraded model of CJ Live. You can
Yes.
handle more, so the dump truck backs up with the horse manure
Exactly. It's just been
and says,
interesting.
help transmute this. Can you imagine what a great teacher,
Yeah.
how much they are getting to work with everyone's stuff
Yeah. Oh,
and
well, my
trans?
my teacher, that's his primary thing, is he takes people's negative karma and like cleans them out. So like he's doing this all the time. Like it's his now, and he just takes it and from the practice, this non-dual tantric Shaivik practice. I don't know a ton because I'm not a teacher, but as I understand it, when you do that work, you also pick up the energy. So even if it's negative energy, you're picking up this energy as well. So you're picking up additional energy as you're taking negative energy. It's like you're the ultimate recycling. You take in people's negative energy, but you get more energy, which allows you to give more to other people to take their more negative energy and like recycle it back and forth and like clean out their, you know, dark energy and in cleaning out add some more light. But because you're able to like hold it, convert it, you can kind of like do this recycling thing.
Tai Chi it.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, that's been my recent contemplation. I guess is it something that's under the carpet? I guess so. It's under the carpet of our consciousness, and I'm
Yeah.
picking it up.
And
Yeah,
you're dealing with it though. That's what we're talking about is you're saying, all right, I've got this anger, I've got this energy. What do I do with it?
yeah,
Versus just letting it sit there and fester, which
yeah,
is like how your ankle was temporarily. You're saying, I've got to do something with this.
Yes.
And that's a huge positive. That's a transmutation. With coaching clients lately, one of the things I've been telling them, and it's actually similar to I had a spin instructor who I used to love, 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 a dear friend a long time ago, Don Spence, a former professional cyclist. And he would say in spin class, anger is an energy, one gear harder. And my expression that I'm saying is frustration is an energy. It's just an angst. It's waiting to be turned into fuel. And
Hmm.
that's what you're talking about. You are
Yes,
picking up excess fuel.
I
And
am.
like your teacher, you get to transmute it and then turn it into something positive.
Yes. Yes. So that's my new job.
Woohoo! Hey, you
I'm
may not have been
I'm
signed up
not
for it,
I'm
but
not
apparently you're ready for it.
exactly. I don't know if I really quite signed up for it. It's happening. It doesn't really matter because it's happening nonetheless. So, the ultimate choice is okay, I could just actually don't interact with other people, but even like yourself, right? You're not maybe interacting, but you're picking up stuff from the field because you're just sensitive. Like even if you like sit in your house as a hermit, you still may pick up energy, right?
I
So,
know the news without needing to know the news. If
yeah.
something happened, if there was a shooting, if there was a vote, if there was a this, there's that, Jessica and I will be looking at each other going, and I'll be saying, is it yours? She'll be going saying, is it yours? And we'll go, well, let's turn on the news, which we don't even do anymore. But
Wow.
we'll be able to know, like when we were living North Carolina before we went into the gym, where you've got a wall of TVs in front of you that's going to tell you, you're like, yep, there it is again.
Wow.
We're all in this field. We're all actually, I believe, on a subconscious level, this sensitive. We
Right.
just don't know how to label it and pay attention to it. So we'll go into work going, I feel really crappy today. I have no idea why,
Hmm.
not realizing we plugged into the field.
Right. Yeah. So so that's my new my new work
Bobby?
items. In addition to my actual work items, which are different material work items, and yeah, and just like bad dreams, all this kind of stuff. It's been interesting to just stay calm and positive during this time. Of a lot of dark stuff. I mean, there's stuff in the air. I mean, in the general psyche is
It's the
really
2019, 2020, everything being amplified, everything coming up that's under the carpet. Now, you might say, well, if it's coming up to be healed, then why would this be voted or that be voted? Well, if there is negative habits or racism or xenophobiaism or whatever that we haven't dealt with as a society, it may appear that we're moving more in that direction, but no, what's actually happening is it's coming out into the light. You can't clear something that's hidden under the carpet. You need to get it
yeah.
out.
I want to talk about one other thing just
You got it.
before we wrap up. So, just because I think it's really important for women out there, particularly because I know there have been women who've been following the show and like hearing about empty nesting. And I had this big aha this week, which was um, recognizing that I think I've told you that, we actually, when we become moms, we take our individuated, our individual selves before being moms and like put that aside. And then we like turn into moms and uber moms and we do all these different things. And then we forget this part of ourselves that's so critical. I mean, these are all authentic versions of ourselves, but it's just, this is me as a mom. This is me without being a mom. And you get to like look at this, snapshot of what you were before mom and like update it and see who you are. And as I've been doing that, it's shocking to your loved ones because all of a sudden they see someone that they haven't seen all of a sudden for a long time. Like that person took a hiatus for 22 years and adjusted and adapted to a family setting. Now this person is no longer in a family. I have a family, but like the kind of compromises and sacrifices I have to make are different. Um, and I guess the question is, do they even have to happen anymore? That's the thing. So when you're married, and that was the thing that we started talking about, like, wow,
Challenging everything.
yeah, because I'm in the mode of sacrificing myself in order to create harmony. And then the question is, how can we each be our authentic selves in our marriage and our partnerships, even in our families? I think that when you have a family, there's just so many dynamics that you just end up compromising. I think it is part of a spiritual growth because you learn how to give
Hmm.
unconditional love all the time, and it's a wonderful thing. And then there's this period where it's like, well, how about giving unconditional love to myself? And so the recent thing has been looking at how do I actually be my authentic self and not have to compensate, like, and how do you do that with a partner when they're so used to other things? And the thing that I recognize is that without like thinking about it, I would just automatically like, okay, you don't like when I do this, so how should I compensate and adjust to be that way? And it was always me compensating and adjusting, and then I reached a point where I'm like, I'm just exhausted. Like, there's all these things that I have to do now that I've like thrown up like the old playbook, and now you're creating a new playbook, and like I'm kind of tired. And it wasn't until my husband said, listen, we can either I can change or you can change. We can just ignore, go like just avoid those situations that are uncomfortable, or both of us can kind of change together. And it's pure logic, right? But I hadn't even thought about the other solutions aside from me changing and compromising, and that was kind of like a huge aha that I've been programmed so much to sacrifice that I didn't even think of another person meeting me halfway. Thank goodness for my loving husband who's like gave those solutions. I just couldn't even see that because I'm so used to sacrificing. So that has just been like a major kind of awakening to like, wow, how look at that was concealed using this model, concealed this way of being
Yeah.
was concealed and normalized. And to the point of like, until recently, it's like, well, wait a second, why is that normal? Doesn't make any sense. So that was kind of my aha for this week.
In a sense, you're paralleling Jessica there, who felt she was taught by her mom that her mom gave up her painting work to raise a family, which did she have to? Maybe not. It worked as it was. But Jessica took on this role of I have to keep working, I have to keep working. If there's free time, I have to keep working, I have to keep working. And it took quite a lot of poking and prodding. Now she's in knitting mode, she's getting it.
Right.
But she didn't realize, oh wait, there may be another way.
Yeah. Yeah. Like how, and I think it's how can you be your authentic self without compromising? And I don't know. But my family time is already gone, so I can't look back and say, oh, I should have done it, whatever. I mean, I did it
No,
the way that I did it, and it was a great experience. But now I'm looking and going like, well, wait a second, why am I the only one compromising? There are other solutions aside from that. It ends up being that it's faster and more efficient if someone just compromises all the time. But it kind of doesn't make sense at a certain point in life because you let go of some authentic version of yourself in order to please another person and the other person being my husband, right? And it's kind of like, well, that doesn't seem like quite the right thing either. Yeah. So, anyways, that's a
yay.
big aha, a new chapter in our marriage.
Woohoo.
So,
All right, I got to wrap things up and get
yes,
to a coaching client. Any last words
I'm
of wisdom
good.
you want
I'm
to share
good.
with people?
I'm good.
All right. Anything on my side of things? Just get under the carpet and play.
Well, and even if, okay, I'll have one thing. Get
Yeah.
under the carpet, see what's there. If you don't know right away, it may come to you later, or maybe you don't need to know. Or maybe you do need to know, but leave the range of possibilities that all those things could be possible.
Rule number one in my automatic writing book, there are no rules.
Exactly.
It's all heart. Go with the heart without
Yeah.
judging yourself. If you find something you want to work on, great. If you find something you don't want to work on, great. If you don't find something, great. But this is just a game of expansion and awareness.
Yep.
Plain and simple. What does it mean you have to do? Just be you.
Yeah. Yes. Love it.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler and
CJ Lu wishing everyone happy holidays, love and peace, and warmth during your holiday.
and that goes so both ways. And this will air after Christmas. So happy New Year's, happy New Year's, happy New Year's. May we all have the greatest new year ever for our highest good, for the highest good of all, or something better.
Woohoo!
And I don't even know if I said it. So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler and
CJ Lu.
from the Fire It Up with CJ show, I am really
Fire
confused
up with
now.
CJ show.
Saying you all have fun, have the most amazing holiday season ahead, and may 2020 be your greatest year ever, and above and beyond all else.
Shine bright.
It means so much to me that you're listening to the show and would love your support in any way by giving me comments below or to subscribe to the show or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.